everybody that's joining us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. That was a really poor intro. Here we are. Hey, everybody. How you doing? It is November 10th, Tuesday, and this is day 2 of our November challenge, which is movement. I believe, I might be wrong about this, this is the real first structured movement challenge we've had. We've had other movement-oriented challenges in the past that were more just like, let's spend the month trying to work up to a 2-minute plank or something like that, you know? But this is the first time I think that we've conceptually dove in to look at movement and the importance of movement is one of the 5 pillars that we talk about in the Epic 5 with our patients, right? So again, those pillars are hydration, diet, movement, stress management, and sleep management, sleep patterning. And I love that we're doing this. Just to kind of remind everybody, you know, I know you know who I am, but just to make sure, I'm Dr. Jason Bradley, the founder of Epic Functional Medicine, and you know, this is my private page, my private public page. Is that right? And we do these challenges every single month. You know, last month was detox. This month, movement. Next month, I think we said Rachel's going to be hosting stress, which is really cool. Dan is our lead health coach at Epic. Dan probably, we have all of our health coaches are awesome. But Dan really does get the hardest of the hard cases, just to let you know. I've been working with him forever. I love Dan, I think, can know what's going on in my brain quicker than I do half the time. And half the time when I think we need to make something for the patients, he's already made it 2 weeks ago. He's great. So I also love, just to kind of introduce Dan a little bit, because I didn't spend a lot of time yesterday doing that. Dan has this amazing ability to take, again, I mentioned it, but I really didn't give it a lot of lip service. My role at Epic with our patients is to oversee everything, right? So part of my role in the clinic part is to make sure that we're looking at that internal chemistry, that we're addressing each one of our clients' personal and unique biochemical, genetic, you know, et cetera needs that we have. And sometimes that can get a little complex. Dan, as an example, was just on a call with me, with Natalie, one of our other coaches, and we dove into what was supposed to be a 45-minute discussion on methylation and homocysteine. And Dan, I think we spent 50 minutes looking at the idea of talking about genetics, epigenetics, nutritional medicine, you know, how to really, you know, drive that genetic pathway with nutrition. And like I said, Dan just gets right in there and does that. And I love working with him. He's got this great knack of taking something that complex and huge and then being able to work with his patients and roll it out in a really systematic, step-by-step manner that the people that he's working with have this it's interesting because I hear the feedback a lot. I mentioned it again, but I mentioned it yesterday, but I'll say it again. I get this feedback where it's like, you know, I'm working with Dan, patients are getting better, their symptoms are coming down, their labs are improving. And I talk to them about, you know, what do you think the success was? And essentially, this is what I get back from Dan's patients. The success was that I did it. I was able to implement what Dr. Bradley and his crazy, you know, 505 things that we need to do to be healthy. Dan was able to do this in a really systematic, step-by-step way, where some days I was taking tiny little baby steps, but I half the time didn't even realize that I was. But when I look back at 1 month, 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, you know, 5 years or whatever, I see that I've stacked these tiny little changes that I've made, and they've had an amazing impact on the overall, you know, health and wellness and happiness of my life. And like I said, Dan has this amazing ability to do that with his clients. And I mean, I don't know how you learn to do that, but it's pretty cool. So thank you. And that's my introduction to Dan. Dan already knows this, but I love working with him. I ask him his opinion on a lot of things, and I very much value it. So, sir, I'm going to turn it right over to you. Yesterday we talked about the big why. And if you didn't watch that video, not Dan, but if you guys didn't watch that video, make sure to check that out. The big why is probably the most important thing. Once you get it and once you own it, health and happiness is right around the corner. There's still going to be work to do. I don't want to pretend there's not, but you'll have the motivation to do it. Today, Dan, what are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, first, thanks for your kind words. You are too kind, but I appreciate it.
Well, thanks for your hard work and dedication and all of it. I mean, it's amazing.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm excited to be on the team, and it's been great. Today, we're going to be diving more into just good old practical tools and resources, and even just hands-on showing you guys some of the different tools I've seen out there that could help you get started if you're needing some help and inspiration on what you could use to create your own exercise routine. So as Dr. Bradley just mentioned yesterday, we dove into the foundations, which is that big why. So that deeply driven motivation where even when we don't feel motivated, it goes a layer deeper because we see where we want to head. And that's what drives us, even when things are hard. So that part. And then the second part was the foundation of making sure you have a specific plan in your intention of, when in your calendar, when in your week do you want to exercise? How much time is practical for you? Where do you actually physically and visually see yourself exercising, and is that space set up to do so, right? So just having a very clear picture there is the foundations talked about yesterday. Because if you don't have those things in place, we could get lost in the weeds. I know for me, I'm a very detail-oriented person. So I know for me, I can get lost in the weeds on like, okay, but exactly like what kind of exercises am I going to be doing? And, how will those play out? Is that the right plan for me? Or should I do this kind of exercise? And it just becomes overwhelming. And I get stuck before I've even laid a foundation to put my feet on in the first place. So that's why we're making this the second day and not the first day. So with that, actually, Dr. B, am I able to share my screen in the way that this is set up? It
I
should be
think
able,
so.
I see the button, so, okay, cool. So before I kind of just jump into showing some different cool tools out there that I've seen, I thought it'd be kind of fun to just talk a little bit about just the kind of the nature of like what should you even be looking for when creating a routine, right? And I think that's an important question. I think there's a few ways we can approach, all of us can approach it. Some people like to approach, what they want to do for the actual exercise. And when I say exercise, I think specifically, well, specifically and non-specifically, the exercise could just be movement, right? So it could be fun things you do, but in an intentional way that you're consistent with. Like if you're hiking, is that something you consistently do that you could count on being a part of your quote unquote exercise? Or, if you want to have stretching or flexibility or as Dr. Bradley, you mentioned yesterday, balance, be a part of it. It could be strengthening. It could be cardio, going for walks. It could be yoga. There's a lot of pieces there. So there's a lot of flexibility to how you want to approach it. It doesn't have to be, hey, right now you need to have a plan for fitting in, like doing, strengthening and this or whatever. So a lot of people can think about one of two sides of the coin. Either some people are motivated, kind of like driven by like developing where they're not strong in. And I don't mean literal strength, but in terms of like skills, right? If you're like, what, I've got, my legs are solid, but I'd love to get, my upper body could use some work. So I want to work on that. Some people are motivated in that way. And some of us might be like, what, there's already enough like of a barrier in wanting to do this in the first place, working on it, right? We're establishing those foundations where maybe you just need to approach it from what is the path of least resistance? What either seems the least daunting to me or what seems the most fun? So that's that's 2 or 3 different lenses for all of you who are watching this now or later. You can think about is, what kind of person do you kind of fall into there? Maybe there's a different way, but think about what kind of approach jives with you, and then use that lens, that filter to start thinking about what routine, exercise routine or plan fits that. Is it a routine that's fun? Is it a routine that develops where you're weaker and that excites you to kind of get to develop those? Is it like, hey, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to get tons of results from this out the gate, or I can't picture it, but this seems really, really doable for me, right? So think about those 3 things. I was curious, Dr. Bradley, kind of pass the ball to you. What are some of the things you like to think about when it comes to, or the ways you like to approach thinking about your exercise routines, or, you know, I know for all of us, we sometimes have seasons of time where we do different kinds of exercise. So I'm just kind of curious how you've approached it presently or in the past.
Yeah, I think I'm going to answer both of those questions. How I approached it in the past, which was not right, not correct, and then how I do it now. And I think that you touched on some really important pieces that in all of the years that I've been doing what I'm doing, and I mean, not just that, but also being alive and being a human and being conscious that I have to take care of my body, right? So, I mean, a long time. I've been on this planet for nearly 5 decades now, and have been wise about 2 months of those decades, right? All together. But one of the things that I used to do was, I mean, because everybody knows they need to exercise. And we talked about this yesterday. It's also one of those things that everybody needs to do. I don't think there's many people that disagree with that. And yet it's one of those things that we just don't do. And so again, that big why is going to be important. I didn't have that in the past. I just kind of knew that I needed to do something. So here's what I would do, and I think a lot of people do this. And I mean, I think you touched on this, but let me just say what happens.
Yeah.
Here it is. I know I need to exercise. So what I'm going to do, and I know I need to do it, I'm making this up. It doesn't matter what book you're reading, right? Let's just say 5 times every other day. Let's just agree that we're going to exercise every other day, right? And take Sundays off. Is that fair? Oh, if I want. Yeah. So maybe I'm Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and once over the weekend if I feel like it. Is that fair?
Yep.
And that's as far as it goes. I'm going to exercise Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and once over the weekend, right? So what would happen is Monday'd roll around, and I'd have pretty good intentions of like, yeah, it's Monday, I'm gonna exercise. And maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't. If I didn't get to it, I'd pick it up on Tuesday. I promise you that I didn't do it on Tuesday. Wednesday would roll around, and I may or may not do it. If I missed it, I might pick it up on Thursday, but I'm not gonna pick it up on Thursday. And you can see the way this goes, because I wasn't being like, I don't know if you use this word, but specific, right? I wasn't telling myself what I'm going to do, when I'm going to do it, where I'm going to do it, what equipment I need, if any. Right? I mean, like I didn't have any of that plan. It was just this concept that I had to exercise, and I had to do it about every other day, and 3 times a week seems to be okay. 5 times might be better, but if I can hit 3, I'm doing pretty well. And so that was item 1, no planning. Bad idea. Item 2, I had this idea that I think a lot of people do, that exercise has to suck. Like exercise has to be hard. It's got to be like, you know, no pain, no gain, and you got to push yourself. And I mean, if you really think about it, and you're struggling with the motivation anyway, you have no big why. It's not really scheduled. And it's just this amorphous thing that's out here that's like, man, I feel like I should be doing this. It's gonna suck when I do it. I might do it tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I think that a lot of us do that. So let me explain how that happened with me. I used to, for as far back as I can remember as a kid, my dad and his buddy, I kid you not, my PE elementary school gym teacher, his real name was Mr. Crew. Jim Crew was his name. I just love that. Mr. Crew was my gym teacher. I don't know. He and my dad were track runners, right? They were runners back in high school, and they held the records. There we go.
Records, yeah.
They held records for high school track events for many years. I mean, my dad was born in 33, so we're talking like, I don't know what years that would have been, but you know, late 40s, early 50s, right? Where these guys were running. And even when I was in high school, they still held a couple of state records. Since then, they've been blown out of the water. I mean, humans have gotten faster, right? I mean, that's just the way it is. But my dad and Mr. Crew, Jim Crew, wanted me to be a runner too. I've got my dad's genes. I'm going to be a runner, right? I'm going to be this athlete. And I got to tell you, I'm an okay runner. I can
like
run.
the lip quiver there.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I can run. And but I wasn't the fastest guy on the field. I don't have, anyway, doesn't matter. I don't have the body or the biomechanics to be a competitive runner. I really don't. But I ran. I did track, I did field, I got into cross country, and I'm starting to run long distances. And Dan, I got to tell you, I never enjoyed it. I hated every minute of it. There was nothing enjoyable about it. But for me, that was my exercise, and that's what I did. So growing up and then coming to an adulthood, I figured it must be something that you just got to do that you're not going to like eating broccoli when you're a kid or something, you know? I mean, I love broccoli, but you know what I mean? Like, you know, just spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down. You know, you just got to do it. You got to grin and bear it and do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened to me, but I just stopped exercising. I mean, honestly, if we really look at my, you know, going back in time, I shared with you guys yesterday that in 2004, you know, my health broke down. Well, let's start putting some pieces together. I hated exercising. I mean, for all the reasons I talked about. I had a dread about it. I wasn't doing it. I mean, that was a factor that led to my, you know, ballooning up by over 100 pounds, not all at once, you know, not all at once is probably 100 or 200 or 300 calories extra a day for many years, right? And we already talked about how that adds up, you know, over a decade, and pretty soon I'm 100 pounds overweight. It's like, what am I doing? I don't get it. Well, I do, you know, and so couple that, it really contributed to my cardiovascular issues, my weight issues, flaring up my hashies. I mean, the list went on, and we can talk about how body fat's, you know, metabolic and inflammatory, and we can, you know, chemical discussion if we want, but ultimately that's where I was left. And by 2007, I had to leave work. I shared a little bit of the story yesterday. I was really not well. I was really sick. I literally almost lost everything, including my life. But even though I kept my life, I almost lost everything anyway. And I had to bow out of work and go back into research and teaching for about 2.5, 3 years. And thank God I had that ability to do that. And in that time frame, I started realizing things about myself and planning to be healthy, right? Reclaiming my health. And one of the first things I realized was, and I'm still doing it wrong, but I think you'll understand. I started setting things up like, I'm going to exercise every day, right? Monday through Friday, every day I'm going to do it. And I used to have discussions with friends of mine, and they're like, you know, how many are there days that you don't do it? I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. But I'm hitting 3 to 5 times a week if I plan on it every day, right? So I'm already counting that I'm not going to be at 100%, so I'm going to overgame it, right? So it helped me out a little bit. That was an improvement. But if you notice what I said, and of course my friends would say things like, don't you feel like you're failing like every day that you don't exercise? And I don't know. I was like, no, you know, I'm getting 3 to 5 times a week. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, that's my goal. And so I'm getting it, you know, but I just scheduled it different. I'm not scheduling it yet. I'm using the wrong words, planning it differently. And even when I just told you that, I switched my paradigm shift a little bit from Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe once over the weekend to I'm going to hit it every day just for the percentages, right? Statistics. I still, even when I mentioned this to you right now, I said, so I started planning on exercising every day. But if you'll notice, there's no specifics there. What am I going to do? Exercise. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Right? When am I going to do it? Every day. Well, what does that mean? Where am I going to do it? Every day. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, right? You know, what do I need to be done? Exercise equipment. I don't, you know, like I don't know, right? So again, even though that was an improvement just in a statistical average of how often I was exercising, I still didn't really solidify this until I don't even know when. I don't know when it became easier for me, but I know the tool that I used, and I'm happy to share this tool, but this is what I did. And it's a tool that we're working on at Epic, as Dan knows. Natalie, one of our other coaches, has really been diving into this a little bit with me. So, you know, every time we develop a tool, it's a lot of us on the team try it out first. And this is the tool that I developed, and I love it. And is that okay if I keep going, or do you want me to pause? That was my history. That was my history. Failure, failure, failure.
Go for it.
Okay. I just don't want to take the floor for too long.
No, you're good.
The thing, and I'll share it quickly, and then we can dive into it if you want. I created something that I am loosely calling, and I'm sure it's already been trademarked, so we can't call it officially, my best self schedule, right? And I can just quickly throw it up on the screen if you want. I happen to have mine pulled up, I thought.
Yeah, go for it.
Thought I did. Hold on one second. Maybe I don't have it pulled up. Let me close this and try that one more time. There we are. Okay, share screen. There it is. Perfect. Sometimes Zoom doesn't pick up the screen that I want, so I have to close down the share and then open it again. It's super weird. And I know that you guys can't read this, but I want to show you kind of the bird's eye view of this. Don't worry about the color coding. Don't worry about any of that. This is all personal, internal. shorthand for me. Okay, so please know that you don't have to get this detail, but this is what worked for me, and this has been in development for a long time. This is my personal best self schedule, and it's always in consideration. What I mean by that is I'm always looking, not always, I reevaluate this frequently enough to make sure that it's working what I want. But let me explain this before we jump into it. Everybody's made a schedule before, right? Here's the difference between this schedule and every other schedule I've made in my entire life. Every other time, again, we'll talk about the past and how we got here. Every other time that I've made a schedule, and I think a lot of people do this, and I understand the utility of doing this, and it makes sense. I start out with my obligations, right? Mostly to others, right? If I'm in school, like when I was in college or grad school or med school or whatever, I would put all my class schedule in there. You know, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, this is what I need to do. These are my labs. Here's where I'm going to work, right? And I would, you know, make this schedule with the idea that I got to go to school. I got to go to work, you know? So then, as you can imagine, the blocks start to be filled up pretty quickly, right? And I didn't schedule in anything like exercise or anything like that. I just had my stuff I needed to show up. And then it was free time everywhere else, really unstructured time, right? And maybe I would, I mean, obviously I have to have some organizational skills to make it through, you know, school and education and whatever. But, you know, maybe on any given day, I'd be like, oh, this evening I'm going to study, or, you know, this, you know, whatever. But, you know, I might have a study schedule in there. But ultimately, here's what was missing. I wasn't putting in that schedule what I needed for me to be my best self so that I could be the best in school, in work, in whatever I'm doing, right? So I was putting that stuff in front of me. So when I don't know what happened, but one day I was sitting around, COVID happened is what happened. I was sitting around and I'm like, what if we've all thought about the scheduling correctly? What if we started, you know, mine starts at what time? 5 a.m. and goes till 10 p.m., right? That's my day. 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. is roughly my day. Side note on that, this morning I woke up and I came downstairs to get one of the dogs, who was with our older daughter. I don't know what time it was, but it wasn't that early. And I go in to get it, and Adeline woke up and she's like, why are you in my room in the middle of the night? And I was like, it's actually just early morning right now. You know? So just a 20-year-old versus a 48-year-old. But at any rate, so I decided what I would do is, what if instead of putting my work schedule in or my meeting schedules or this or that other thing, what if I literally said, I need to hydrate? What do I need? I mean, Epic 5 pillars, right? I need to hydrate. I need to eat well. I need to move. I need to do stress management. I need to sleep. I need to have a pattern, right? And again, kind of going a little bit deeper here, Dan knows this and it's too big to talk about today, but we have other classes that we've done on developing a healthy morning routine, developing a healthy evening routine, developing a sleep hygiene in the room. I mean, we have like subcategories in here, so I don't want to just say like throw it on the page, but this is what I did. And I'll share this with you. I'll blow this up a little bit. Maybe. I thought that's how I blow it up. Maybe not.
Just go to view.
Yeah, I was trying to zoom in, but it's just not liking me to do that. There we are. Perfect. Okay, perfect. So you guys can see, first of all, I just want to just share. I mean, and again, there's stuff on here, right? I want you guys to see that Monday through Sunday, right? Every day of the week. Can you see that my morning schedule is fairly much the same, right? I mean, it's just a consistent schedule for there. But you'll notice that early in the morning, I'm doing a little gentle stretching. I'm moving a little bit. I'm hydrating. I'm taking my meds and supplements. I go for a walk. I'm doing gratitudes, right? Here's my hits built in later in the day. And you can see I have, and this is all 6:30. You know what I mean? I mean, this is where I am. Let's see, I'm trying to look at other things here. I hydrate again at noon. I hydrate again. It says nutrient drink, but it's really hydration with some like a multivitamin powder and some,
sure.
Whatever I've taken, right? I make a joke that I'm the human crucible, right? I'm always just gaming and biohacking biochemistry, right? But I'm doing a nutrient drink at that point. I go on a walk. There's some other things I do here for other things, but I'm hydrating again at the end of the day. I'm doing weights and yoga around 5:30 p.m. Reality is I'm not, it says make dinner at 6:30. This is where the schedule falls apart. The reality is the weights and yoga, we're lucky to be done like with this schedule until about 6:30. So our day gets pushed a little bit later. right? But you can see that, I have movement in a lot of different ways, right? If we look at the different types of movement, we've got flexibility, cardiovascular, strength training, and balance, which isn't on here, right? But maybe we should add it in. But I've got flexibility built in. I've got gentle cardiovascular with walking. I've got cardiovascular with HIITs again. Down, where are we? Weights and yoga again, flexibility and strengthening. And again, I've got that built into my day. So after I made this schedule, and you can see, full disclosure, my original schedule started at 6:30 in the morning. It really did. I originally said, I want to start my day at 6:30. But when I really started looking at what I needed to do to take care of myself, I realized I had to get up earlier. There was just no way, there weren't enough daylight hours if I didn't start taking care of me earlier. Again, I said that incorrectly. I had been waking up earlier. I just wasn't constructive with my morning. So it's not like what I mean by that is it's easy for me to get my feet on the floor by 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's an easy thing for me to do. 5 o'clock, especially in the winter where it's dark, it's not a challenge. I usually wake up before the alarm goes off. My body's it's every day, 7 days a week that I'm used to this now, but it took months to get there where I'm calibrated in this routine. So again, I'll stop my share right now. But ultimately, when I look at that, and you'll notice on that schedule, I didn't quite go into, I had a little bit more about what I'm going to do. I have yoga, gentle flexibility, HIITs, weights, right? I could be more specific there on that schedule, but I know like I said, a lot of this is shorthand for me. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Like you said, what do you do for HIITs? I'm going to do burpees, mountain climbers, running in place and jumping jacks. And I'm going to do that twice, right? I already know what that means to me, so I don't have to write all of that out. When am I going to do it? Man, highly specific on that schedule, right? Highly specific, exactly when I'm going to do it. I have my schedule, I have my phone tell me, and I have my watch tell me. And then full disclosure, again, Rachel and I tried to sync our schedules as much as we could. So sometimes I don't have all of my devices around me, and Rachel's devices would go off. And I'm like, it's time to hydrate. That's great. Where are we going to do it? Again, I've worked all that out. I know exactly, unless I'm traveling, I have my spaces worked out. So again, that schedule was shorthanded. I figured out, with all of those. Now we do our flexibility, not that you guys need to know this, but as an example, we have our flexibility training. We do that on the level of the house that I'm on right now. We have a 2-story house, it doesn't matter. But we do this on this level. And then our weights and whatnot in our basement, we have a weight machine and like that type of stuff, right? And we typically do our HIITs down there, or if we're out, on a walk, maybe sometimes we'll do HIITs there. But again, I know where I'm doing this stuff. I have spaces in my house set up specifically for flexibility, weights, cardiovascular, et cetera. And then how and what's needed. I really had to think through this. Over the years, I've accumulated enough stuff, a lot of us do, that I can say I have a fairly decent home gym, right? So, we put it in our basement. So I think I did a tour of that not too long ago on some, 2-minute post or 5-minute post. It's not necessarily pretty down there. I'd like for it to be prettier, but it's a space and it's consistent and I can get down there, And again, if we go back to my schedule, I'm not really doing my yoga and my breathing and my meditation and all that down there, right? I'm just down there lifting weights and doing HIITs, So I have my weights down to honestly, because I'm hitting one body part, if that makes sense. And rotating through them. So I get my weights done in 5-10 minutes. And I get my HIITs done, as we know, they're 4-minute, 5-minute HIITs, right? So, I'm down there 15 minutes max, 20 minutes real max. But again, it took me a while to get there. But now that I have that best self schedule and I thought about what am I going to do? When am I going to do it? Where am I going to do it? What equipment do I need? And I said, this is where it fits in my schedule and it's consistent every single day of the week. I'm hitting it. It's easy. Right? So then what I did is after I got my best self schedule in there, and again, we're talking about movement today, but I did all of it, all the pillars, and anything else that I thought that I needed. As an example, I think that you saw that Rachel and I are learning Spanish, during our 2 o'clock kind of walk. We're trying to learn some Spanish while we're doing it. We're not being very successful with it, but there's a lot built in there that's about Where can we do philanthropy? Where can we do growth? It's not just the 5 pillars for my best self, right? There's a lot built into being your best self. I mean, community, going on a date with your spouse or your kids or hanging out with friends. I mean, there's just stuff there that, is also part of that. But once I got all that on there, it left me gaps, right? And here's what I did. I put my work in the gaps. I love my work. I love my research. I love taking care of people. I mean, like, it's all awesome. But I figured out how to put about 50, and again, because I'm spreading it out over 7 days as opposed to 5 days, I'm able to put like 50 hours of work. Oh, that's about what the clinic demands of me, just for full disclosure. And if that sounds like a lot, I don't think that it is. I think most people with a full-time job are probably putting in 40, 50 hours. I think that's pretty reasonable. I'm happy about it because it used to be 80 hours, so I think this is a massive time improvement for me, right? Part of that time improvement, though, was that I did the best self schedule. Literally, I did the best self schedule, and I'm like, this is when I can work. That's it. That's what I'm going to do. And I had to figure out how to be more efficient with my work. So what I'm trying to say, Dan, is you mentioned it yesterday that when you start to do one thing, we talked about finding a stable datum, doing one thing starts to like churn and affect other areas of your life. So because I focused on best self, and one of those things was putting my movement in and exactly, what, when, where, and how, and what do I need and all that stuff. Because I did that with the other pillars, and because it compressed my available time to get work done, it made me think more efficiently with my work, right? It made me say, I got to get that done right now, because if I don't, it's going to throw off my best self schedule. And here's ultimately the take home. When I don't follow my best self schedule, I don't feel good. When I follow, I feel better than I did in 2004, 2007, right? But I'm not anywhere near whatever my version of my best self is when I'm following that schedule compared to when I'm not following that schedule. So that's my trick. Schedule out what you need to do to take care of you first, literally first. And we have some sick people that are our patients when they first meet us, and we're awesome at figuring it out. And they're awesome at doing the work that we ask them to do. Sometimes when people do this exercise, full disclosure, and Dan knows this, they're like, man, it's like a 70-hour job for me to do what I need to do to get healthy again. And I'm like, I know, that's where we are, right? And it's just one of those things where unless we put that, I might be hyperbolic with my time, right? But it's a whole lot of time to like take care of myself. And the take home is, if we don't do it, we don't even get to live our best lives. We don't. Secondly, if we don't do it and take care of ourselves first, we are not as effective at helping others. We're not as effective at taking care and loving and supporting the people that rely on us, friends, family, kids, spouses, all those people, right? All those people. And lastly, if we don't take care of ourselves and prioritize us now, here's what's going to happen. We all know this. Debilitating chronic diseases will creep in, and we will have to take the time and the money to take care of those things later. So we either dedicate the time now to be the best self and be the healthiest that we can be, and we all know this, we're going to hit our 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old self if we're lucky, and we're going to have some serious issues, right? So again, I don't know if that probably answered more than what you wanted, but that's what I did. That's what wasn't working, and that's what works for me now.
Yeah.
Did that help?
Thanks for sharing. Yeah. I kind of going back to one of the earlier parts, and you're talking about here's what didn't work. And when you had said, I really connected with, and I think a lot of people connect with when you said how some of us can think, we go into exercise or thinking of a routine, it's got to be painful, it's got to suck. And I do think, and hopefully we're shifting as a society away from this now. I get the sense that we are, but maybe that's just about bias from what I hear and listen to. But I know for most of us growing up and either have lived out or have heard at least, like you said, no pain, no gain. And it's such an easy thing to twist and create an unhealthy, not only a mindset and approach to exercise, but even unhealthy degree of exercise. And so one of the tips before kind of just showing a few practical tools out there for things that can help you get started with the exercise routine quickly without having to spend too much time researching. One of the things that I find helpful whenever it's been a while and I haven't exercised in some time, or there's a certain kind of movement I haven't done in a while. And I just know that if I don't go into it very carefully, I'll easily experience that, that first week of like really intense like soreness or whatever that makes it hard to go on to that second or third week. And that is this. I just simply treat that first week or two of anything I'm starting, whether it's something I'm revisiting, I've done before, but it's been a long time, or even if I am in the middle of a time in my life where I do have regular movement, but I'm trying something new. So either of those two scenarios, I treat that first 1 to 2 weeks as a practice.
Yeah.
Really, we should look at exercise as always practicing. We're always practicing how to move our bodies and understand how it feels and how it works. But in terms of practicing the actual routine, so it's like, okay, I won't put the pressure on myself that first week or two of, am I hitting that like optimum range of like movement or weight or whatever that I'm lifting? Instead of just like, what's the routine like? Oh, that's the next movement I do after I do this set. And oh, that's about how much time it takes to do. And I do like really lightweight, like whatever
Oh
I
yeah.
think, yeah, my capability is, I might do like 50% of that, you know, and I go out of it probably being like, I probably didn't really quote unquote work out my body and like really, signal my body to be like, man, we need to build more strength and get more endurance. But I'm getting practice with the feel of the routine. So that way I can take that next step to then start optimizing the level of intensity instead of trying to do it all at once. And the funny thing is, even when I back off to 50% or whatever that arbitrary number is, I still feel something because you'll always feel something when you haven't been at a certain type of movement in a while. So I think that's just one simple way to ease into it. I know it can be really helpful. Um, but with that said, I just wanted to, with a few minutes we have left here before we start to wrap up, be a little bit of a shorter day today, um, that there's so many, first of all, just to take barriers away, right? What are the two main barriers a lot of us can have for exercise routines? Money and equipment. Well, usually those are related. So just take away those barriers. What is free stuff out there? And then what kind of stuff might also not even need equipment, right? I do think equipment, uh, over time, it's really good to invest in some equipment unless you're investing in like going to a gym or something like that where that,
Right.
it's there for you. But there's a lot of really cool stuff out there, and I just wanted to share a few of them just to kind of get some of the gears rolling. Some of these overlap with the links that are provided in this Facebook post for you guys. I encourage you to explore and take a look through them. It's amazing what free stuff you can find out there that is just supported by people who are just passionate or are donor supported. So the first one I wanted to show everybody is this. Let's see here. So let me pull up oh my gosh, 1 second here, gang. I had all the tabs open
That
and now they're gone.
happens to
Oh,
me.
no. Here they are. Okay. Jeez. All right. So this first one here is called freetrainers.com. And this is just another just donor supported site. People just donate to it and they can do their thing. And they have free customizable workout plans. So when you just go to here, you'll see they've got, hey, here we go, an at-home workout program. But they got cardio, they've got, strengthening, resistance bands, etc. So let's say you're like, you know what? I'm just going to start at home. I've got limited equipment, whatever, it's COVID. Like, I don't want to go to the gym just yet. I'm not ready for that. And so they give a summary and you're like, okay, start doing this workout. And, first they're going to set it up for you. Are you beginner, intermediate, advanced? Say you're a beginner as an example. And then, hey, going
Yeah.
along with what we were talking about yesterday or what you were sharing today, Dr. Bradley, like what days, what's your intention here? So
Yeah.
maybe it is like, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then
Yeah.
recuperate on the weekends, and then generate my workout. So and you create workout details. And they basically create a calendar for you. And then I want to show next here. Here we go. So they in this site, they just make it full body workouts, and they just kind of rotate the variety just to keep it simple. But what's kind of neat is that they just lay it out here for you. You can click on each thing so you see what the exercise is and how to do it. And they give you options. So you kind of have one plan, but it's flexible. So if you're like, I just kind of want to do something different today, sometimes for us having the having choice gives a sense of freedom, which gives a sense of abundance, which takes away the feeling of like restriction, I have to do this or whatever. So they give you the option of like, you can do this ab workout or this oblique stretch. Next, you can choose one of these two, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, that, as you saw that, I mean, I was talking my way through it, and that took less than a minute to, boom, have a program, and you could set up a free account, and it even tracks things for you. So how cool is that?
I love that. I think that's brilliant.
So that's the first one I wanted to show everybody here. Next is Dareby.com. For those of you who are private clients with Epic may have heard this one before. This is a really good one for no equipment. So if you're like, I've got nothing, but I want to get started, this is, they actually have a lot of different things, but if you go to the site, so Dareby.com, and you click on workouts, they have right at the top here a workout like filter, and you'll see they have 1,500 of these one-pager, little routines here, and they've got fun names from. And what's kind of cool is, we talk about HIIT, strengthening, cardio, flexibility. You can see on the right-hand side, hey, do you want to focus on the lower body, upper, full body? Do you want to do a HIIT? Like they've got that. Difficulty, let's say it's light difficulty, no equipment.
Great.
And boom, so we just did a lot of different demands for what we're looking for. And we've got 4 we can choose from right here. So as you can see, I mean, simple yet effective illustrations. They give you suggestions for levels of like how much time or intensity you'll do. They show kind of a diagram of what parts of the body it will work. And it's a PDF. It's a one-page PDF. So heck, you could print this off, and if you're traveling, you've got it. If you want to watch your favorite show while exercising, instead of having to watch an exercise video, you could do that too.
Yeah.
So
that's
a lot of great things there. Yeah. The other one I wanted to show is I haven't used it personally yet, but it was an idea from another client. I thought it was just kind of a fun idea. It's kind of an out there idea, but not out there, but it's called a yoga deck. Dr. Bradley, have you ever heard of this before?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, there's a number of yoga decks out there, but it's basically just a deck of cards that's got, this is just one example of it. But it's got a deck of cards, and I'm trying to find contents here. This isn't really a good example.
I think you click on the deck at the top. And then maybe, yeah.
Here we go. Here we go. Thank you. So it's just going to show different movements. It's going to, this is kind of the intro of it. Here we go. But yeah, it'll show the intro of it, explain what the benefit is, how you do the motion. And if you're somebody who doesn't like to be really, really structured, if you like to be more free form, this client was like, you know what? Every day I get to have the structure of showing up for my exercise or my yoga, but I get to kind of draw from like, what do I feel like I need today, or do random and then lay them out and do the routine. So, so it kind of, it meets a lot of people's, kind of tickles a lot of people's needs, of like, I want information, education. I want to know the benefits. It's a tool, and I'm flexible with it.
Yeah.
Pun not intended.
I was going to say good pun there. And I love, just I don't have the website pulled up, but for yoga, Rachel turned me on to, I don't even know who the instructor is, and I know some people like cards and not video type stuff, but I don't even know if people know this, but for a very brief period of my life, I owned a yoga studio. I didn't mean to own one. I owned a building, and on the top floor, there was treehouse yoga or treetop yoga or something like that. And the yoga master that had that literally just left. He had been training teachers. They had, teacher training going on. There were a ton of teachers that were here locally. They had students, and the guy, I'm not trying to pick on him, he just left. And so I met with the teachers, and I was like, hey, I own this building. The guys jumped out on rent. I think I'm just going to like take over the studio. I don't know anything about running a yoga studio. Do you guys want to run it? And I'll trade you guys for free yoga classes for myself and my patients, right? The rent wasn't that much, right? Anyway, I won't bore you with those details, right? So nonetheless, I ended up owning this yoga studio for a while, and I really, I went as much as I could. I started work really early. Those days, I would actually be seeing patients. I had a pre-work crowd. This one had a brick and mortar. So I was very busy from like 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock in the morning, and then a little lull, a little bit over lunch, and then a little bit after work again. That was just long work days. But I would go there really early and catch like the 5:30 a.m. Yoga class, right, with the other early birds. And I loved it. And I really liked participating in this class and having the instructor be able to like look at the instructor and do what they're doing and see what other people are doing. And I just liked it. So that building got torn down, the story of Iowa City. And I think they put a brewery up and some, $2 million condos up above or something like that downtown. Probably. And, nobody lives there. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Nobody can afford to live there. So it's like a ghost town downtown, right? So at any rate, it's weird. We live in a weird town. At any rate, yoga kind of went by and by. Rachel found something called Yoga Burn. It's finally getting to where we are. And I've talked about it before, and I want to be really clear about Yoga Burn. It is meant for women. There is no, it's not like it's, I don't mean like it's, I was going to say it's not PC. What I mean by that is she is talking to women, and there's no talking to men. Yep. It's not mean about it. It's just that's her audience, right? So I do this with Rachel, and it's just great, Dan, because first of all, she's a great instructor, and I get the flow, like it makes sense. Like she explains why she does the flow through, and they're recordings, right? So you can watch them over and over and over again. But the real thing that I like about yoga, and what really made it fun for me, is that her segments are short. So they're not like an hour when I used to go to these classes, because that got really long for me because I'm an impatient person. And an hour of stretching and breathing is a lot. So yoga burns are like 10, 15 minutes to 20, 25 minutes. Like they're just kind of very targeted, like we were with your pieces there, upper body, lower body, core, whatever. Very, very targeted. And then she adds an element of humor for me, because at least once or twice in every episode, she's like, come on, ladies, you can do it. And I kind of get a personal kick out of that. And the other thing is she says things that men cannot relate to. Most men. It's 2020 or 2020. So I can't say all men, but a lot of men can't relate to statements like, ladies, I want you to cross your legs like you're wearing a tight skirt, And I'm like, and I just, what I love about it is that I'll be doing the yoga and I'll chuckle. Like it's like joy while I'm exercising. And going back to the reason I wasn't doing it, I didn't enjoy it, right? And so this brings joy to me. And I just wanted to, I know we're closing here, but I just wanted to share a few things. You said something that I am going to think about for a very long time. Thank you. Choice equals freedom equals abundance, right? I am going to really spend some time on that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Dan drops these things like they're no big deal. I found that when people have choice, they feel like there's more freedom, and so they feel like there's a feeling of abundance. And I'm like, that's like so deep. Like, thank you. But I wrote down things like start low and go slow, right? I wanted to make sure we shared that. I think you did it. I wrote no pain, no gain, and then I wrote a no pain. Like, we don't want pain. Your pain is your body talking to you, right? So listen to it, right? And then we've kind of talked about this, but choose activities you love. It's so funny that you talk about these things. Choose activities you love to do, and you can really do anywhere, which kind of harkens back to what can we do without equipment? I don't get to bring my home gym with me when I'm at a hotel. Some hotels have equipment, right? But, what do I do when I'm traveling? What do I do if my equipment breaks? What can I do? And I think that that's the big thing, is like really develop what works for you, what works for your body, what works for your schedule, be consistent with doing it, listen to your body, and do stuff that you love, And I think that that's the take home of the setup. Did we miss anything? I think that was a great setup.
I think so. We got it.
So we know why from yesterday. Now we know what, where, when, how, all of those pieces. And then tomorrow, what are we talking about?
Tomorrow, we're going to be talking a little bit more about what does it mean to listen to the body, and telling a little bit more of why no pain, no gain isn't necessarily good advice, and what are some ways we can modify, or what are some things we should think about with modifying so that we can tailor the experience of doing an exercise routine to meet our needs and meet our body where it's at.
I think that's just so great. I'm so excited. So yeah, I hope that everybody got some good value out of this. I know I did. I know we do a lot of videos, but man, I learn something every time we're doing something. I mean, it's so cool. I just really, really appreciate that. And boy, I guess is there a homework assignment? I'm going to post my photos. We have that balance challenge. I posted the video on that last night, and then the photos of what it looks like. And we have that little challenge going on. So people can post their times. I stood on my left foot, my right foot, eyes opened, eyes closed. And then if you want to post pictures, that's awesome too. What is their other practical part?
Yeah, so the practicum for today, you guys to be working on is first, be clear, start thinking about being clear on what kind of exercise sticks out to you that you want to start then delving into. Get an idea there before you start looking, otherwise it'll be frustrating. And then, determine, hey, will this be some, a media kind of a tool, like following a video? Am I just going to use like a print off? Figure out what works for you. And then we'd love to have you guys just post comments of what routines you're going to do or currently do, or what tools. I mean, I just showed a couple of websites, and there's even more in the links of this post. But it would be really cool to have each of you guys, comment on, hey, here's a great app I love to use, and let's share the wealth there.
Sure.
And just inspire each other.
Should they hashtag anything, or just post and we'll just enjoy it?
Just post and we'll enjoy it. Yep.
Perfect. I think that's great. And also, I think that's perfect. I also want to just share, like, if you guys have websites, even if it's not like a tool that Dan showed, if there's, I'm just randomly pulling this out of the air, but if there was like a video on like a HIIT, exercise, or something that you just found really helpful and enjoyable to you, share it. I'm going to share one if I can find it. No promises. I'm going to share one that was not helpful to me, but that was thoroughly enjoyable to watch. Because somebody asked me for a HIIT video. Is there a video that demonstrates like beginner level hits? And so, I did whatever I did. I'm Googling, and I'm like beginner hits. And so there's a thing that came up on YouTube, and I don't remember what it was titled, but it was something like, really great, easy beginner, HIIT video, like entry level, right? So I'm like, oh, cool. I click on it. Thank God I clicked on it. I click on it. It's the coolest video I've ever seen. First of all, it's stylized. There's music. It's well produced. There's like maybe like eight late teens, early 20s, like hipster, like kids. To me, they're kids, right? In here. I don't know what country they're from, but they're from another country. And they are doing choreographed hits where it's like beyond beginner. And I think the reason I love, first of all, it's cool to watch. But second of all, I was like, if that's their beginner video, like from here, it's the only video I could find from those people. But I'm like, man, I want to see their intermediate one now.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, I'll try to, if I can dig that up, I'll share it.
That'd be funny.
Yeah, just for fun. But otherwise, guys, have a great evening. Post your balance. Remember, balance for life. I did cover a 2-minute tip today. It's out there. Just to kind of tie it in together. I did a 2-minute tip that looked at how is balance a biometric that we need to pay attention to. And here's the stats real fast, just to encourage you guys. 11% of the adult population in America, about 22 million Americans, will experience dizziness or instability, imbalance within the last 12 months, right? 9%, or about 10%, so I can do math better, will die in that category. They have identified imbalance as a biomarker of mortality, right? So it's an independent biomarker of mortality. About 10% of that 22 million people that experience imbalance will die directly related to that imbalance. And the powers that be say about 50% of those could be prevented, right? If we go to the underlying causes of the imbalance. That's about 1 million people a year that we can save their lives. I mean, it's a lot of people. It ranks up there with cardiovascular disease, heart disease, that takes out about 1 million people a year. and we don't even talk about it, right? I mean, it's like a stat that nobody, because it's not sexy to talk about learning to have better balance, right? It's much more like, you know, somebody's having a heart attack and they get saved by the EMT and they had open heart surgery and oh my God, they survived. And it's like sensational to survive a heart attack. It's not sensational to survive falling over and hitting your head or something, right? I mean, I'm teasing. It's just not as newsworthy or show worthy. So I want you guys to watch that video on balance. We haven't quite done this yet at Epic, but we are adding balance into flexibility, strength training, cardiovascular, right? And I'm going to add balance in as the fourth subset there. We kind of talk about it, but we'll talk about it more. So do your balance, post your video or post your stats, post your photos, tag it with whatever I said, which was balance for long life, I think, hashtag balance for long life. And then everybody that posts anything, we're going to just put all you guys into a lottery drawing. And we're going to draw a name at the end of the week and somebody wins a prize. I don't know what the prize is, but I'm excited to give something away. So at any rate, enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Dan, thank you. Seriously, thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah,
everybody have a great day.
And everybody have a great day. And Dan, you know I love just chatting with you. I'm having a blast. So
thanks, man.
See everybody tomorrow and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.